Okay, guys, so I took one of the 10-pound bags of chicken and I've been roasting it in this roaster all afternoon. And I had one, well, it was probably a medium-sized onion, and then I had one smaller onion that was starting to sprout in here as well. Now, some of the onions I want to go into my chicken meat. But the rest of these I'm going to leave in here, in my broth. And I'm going to take the emulsion blender here in a little bit, and I'm going to emulsify it, get it all, blended together. I like that. That is all I do. Now, there's some people who do salt, and they do seasonings and whatever, and that's fine. I don't do that. I just tend to do the onion, and I'll season it however I want it seasoned later. So, and I'll go through here and make sure there's no bones, or I don't think there is anything in here. Make sure there's nothing extra in my broth before I can it. But I've got my jars sanitizing in the oven. That is my preferred method. It's easy. I can do a ton of jars at once. But how you do that is you set your oven at 250. I stick my jars in there. Then once it reaches temp, because my oven will beep when it gets to 250, I then time it, and you want to leave them in there for 15 minutes. So, anyway, I will get back to you with the next step. Alright, I switched to the other camera because I don't have a tripod yet, and I wasn't sure how I was going to set it up. But this is what I do next. I found the best way to do this was with 2 meat forks. That's my preferred method. This stuff is hot, so, doing it by hand. I mean, you could let it cool until it cooled enough to handle, but I like to can it hot, so I like to try to keep it as hot as possible. I also have a bowl here for my scraps that will, of course, go to our barn cats, who will enjoy it greatly. But really, it's just, start shredding stuff up. Just start anywhere. Try to make sure you grab those pieces of gristle that are on the end of the leg bones, especially. Just start shredding this meat out off the bone. It should pretty much relatively fall right off at this point. I'm sure most of you have roasted chickens or boiled a chicken or something of the like, so I'm sure this part is familiar to you. I ended up giving a 10-pound package to Megan, kind of as a trade, because she brought me a 10-pound box of bacon, which was awesome. Anytime free bacon is the most awesomest thing. So she gave me a 10-pound box of bacon, and I gave her a 10-pound bag of chicken. I took one bag and just bagged it up and put it in the freezer, separated it out, put it in the freezer. That's what I'll, use as, when we want to have fried chicken, which I often do on the weekends. So there's that. And then I've got this 10-pound bag that I put in the roaster for some canned meat, shredded meat, and broth in particular, because I'm down to only one can downstairs, and it's the silky broth. And I tell you, I just did not care for the silky chicken. They're a little gamey tasting. People online say, "Oh no, they're not." Yeah, they are. I mean, and I didn't care for it too much. I mean, it's all right in a pinch, and depending on how you season it, it'll be all right as well. But yeah, didn't care for it too much. So I wanted to get some jars of broth down there. And you know what? I can always grab any of the other ways that I'm storing this chicken and boil it up if I'm run out of broth. I mean, you know, so anyway, I've got one, so I took the 10 pounds and I roasted it for that's what you're seeing here. And then I've got another 10-pound bag, and that I'm going to process tomorrow as a raw dry pack, which I will show you how to do as well. So anyway, I'm going to get on this chicken, and I will catch you here in a minute when we go to put it in jars. Hi guys, we are back, and I've got all my chicken shredded. I have emulsified my onions into my broth as well, and Boo is going to be oh so happy little kitty tonight. So I'm going to put this out for tonight because the dogs won't necessarily be out to get in it tonight. So I got 4 jars out of the oven. They're still kind of pretty darn hot. And I only brought out 4 jars because only 4 quarts fits in my tiny little canner. So we're going to fill these 4 jars, and it may only fill 4 jars. So we're just going to start packing them in. It's going to process 1 hour and 30 minutes, and I know you think that's a really long time. And it kind of is, but number one, chicken's a little bit special. You really got to be careful with chicken. It can go bad very easily. And this is the way I've always done it. I've done it this way for years. And it's never been mushy, ever, not once. I think because I've got it packed, I'm going to fill it to about the shoulders of the jar. The shoulders of the jar is where that, where it turns. So we're going to fill it to about the shoulders of the jar, since I'm packing it pretty darn tightly. It was a good time if you did get any stray, because you've got your fingers in it. If you did get miss any stray bones, you'll feel them. They won't go in your meat. So at this point, a couple ways you can do this. You can just fill it with hot water at this point, okay? And that's perfectly fine. I, however, am going to use some of the broth. Alright, so I'm just going to take my broth, and I'm just going to pour it. Actually, I want to put this back on there. And I probably shouldn't have packed that quite so tight. And what I will probably do is run something down in there and loosen it up a little bit. I've got my canner back there priming up, so it's good and hot when everything hits it. This third one is the normal way I normally do it. I just thought I'd try a couple things new. I always try to try something, you know, maybe a better way of doing something. We're just gonna kind of stick this down in it. Make sure we let that broth get down in there all the way to the bottom, because like I said, this is the one I've got packed really tight, which I may come to regret, but that's how we learn. I think I can add a little bit more to that. This one's kind of half-packed. So we'll see how it does. Like I said, I'm going to fill it just to the shoulders. And this one is not packed at all. So, and it is doesn't need any more in it. I've got my lids warming up, and you don't have to boil them anymore, but I do like to warm them up just so that everything is hot. I've got my canner is ready to go. So at this point, we want to wipe the edges really, really well, especially due to it being chicken and it's going to be oily, and the last thing you want is a failed seal. And I prefer to use a paper towel, and the reason that is I don't want to grab my dish rag because those are filthy. And you know, even just a rag, a clean, what I would think is a clean rag, you know, your possibility of contamination is just a lot greater. So I just grab a paper towel, I can throw it away, it's not a big deal, to clean those rims up really good. Okay, so we got our lids on there. Now I'm going to just finger tight on my rings. Don't crank it, just finger tight. And I'm going to pop them in the canner, and we'll get this process going. So here is our finished product. We got 3 cans of chicken and 3 cans of broth. The broth, you only process for about 25 minutes. And I'll try to get in here so you can see all the, trying to make this damn camera. There we go. So you can see all the chicken goodness floating on the top. So, anyway, there you go. Chicken processes for 1.5 hours. The broth processes 25 minutes, and that is 4 quarts. So, there you go. Now you can preserve yourself some chicken. Oh, and by the way, some say that this can last on the shelf up to 5 years. So that's quite a long time. And I know I have kept it over a year. So anyway, I need to get on this here sausage that I'm cooking up, getting ready to make some B&G. Got my biscuits, tasty, in the oven, and I'm going to finish making this video and editing it for you so that I can get that out for you later today. Alright, Nana Prep out.